Naomi Walker trusted her son with her bank account because she thought love could be trusted without questions. Peter paid her bills, picked up her medicine, drove her to church, fixed the loose step near the back door, called her almost every morning. Everyone at church said the same thing. What a good son. And Naomi believed it. She wanted to believe it. But one afternoon, while helping her grandmother search for a missing insurance card, Grace Walker opened the wrong drawer and found a folded bank statement hidden beneath old greeting cards. At first, she thought nothing of it. Then she saw the withdrawals. $100, $300, $800, then more. Transfers Naomi could not explain. Payments Naomi did not remember making. Cash taken from an account that had once held the last savings Naomi's husband left behind. Grace stood in the quiet bedroom, holding the paper with both hands. In the next room, Naomi sat in her old recliner, humming softly with a Bible open on her lap. She looked peaceful, but the numbers told another story. By sunset, Grace would realize this was not only about missing money. It was about a mother who had known more than she admitted, a son who had called borrowing what God called taking, and a family secret that had grown in the dark because everyone was afraid of what the light would reveal. Naomi Walker was 81 years old, a Christian widow, and the kind of woman who never made her pain the loudest thing in the room. She lived in a small beige house with a narrow porch, a squeaky screen door, and a kitchen table marked by years of coffee cups, homework papers, Sunday meals, and quiet prayers. Her husband, Samuel Walker, had been gone for 6 years. He had not left her rich, but he had left her steady. A modest savings account, a paid-off car, a small emergency fund, and a Bible filled with notes in the margins. Naomi lived mostly on Social Security and careful habits. She clipped coupons, saved jars, reused wrapping paper, turned lights off when she left a room, and gave money at church even when others told her she did not have to. She was known for quiet generosity, a bag of groceries left on a porch, a card with $20 tucked inside, a meal delivered to a sick neighbor. Naomi did not give because she had much. She gave because she believed everything she had still belonged to God. But as she got older, things became harder. Bank apps confused her. Passwords overwhelmed her. The letters from insurance companies seemed written in another language. Her hands trembled when she tried to write checks. And she hated calling customer service because the voices spoke too fast. That was when Peter stepped in. Peter Walker, 55 years old, Naomi's oldest son. Responsible, polite, dependable. At least that was how everyone described him. He began helping with bills, banking, medication refills, and appointments. Naomi felt relieved. Grace felt thankful. The church admired him, and Peter felt useful. At first, it really was care. But sometimes sin enters through a door that once opened for love. Peter was in trouble long before Naomi knew it. His small repair business had been failing for almost a year. Clients canceled. Costs rose. A truck payment fell behind. Then a business loan payment bounced. His wife knew things were tight, but not how bad. His church knew he was tired, but not desperate. His mother knew he seemed stressed, but not why. Peter hated the thought of failing. He had spent his life being the dependable one, the son who helped, the husband who provided, the man people called when something broke. But now everything was breaking at once. The first time he took money from Naomi's account, he called it temporary, $80, a utility bill. He told himself he would replace it before she noticed. Then came $300, then $500, then a transfer to cover a late business payment. Each time, he promised himself, I'll put it back before she notices. But he never did. And with every withdrawal, the lie became easier to dress in softer words. It was not stealing. It was borrowing. It was not exploitation. It was pressure. It was not elder financial abuse. It was family. That was the lie Peter fed himself. After all, He picked up her medicine. He drove her to appointments. He fixed her sink. He spent hours helping his aging parent manage things she could no longer manage alone. Did that not count for something? But helping someone does not give permission to take from them. Peter knew that. Deep down, he knew. That was why he never told anyone. Not his wife, not Grace, not his mother. And slowly, his care became control. Grace Walker was 27 years old, thoughtful, sharp, and deeply protective of her grandmother. She visited Naomi every Thursday after work. Sometimes she brought groceries. Sometimes she stayed for tea. Sometimes she simply sat and listened to Naomi tell the same stories about Samuel, the same church memories, the same recipes that never tasted the same when anyone else made them. One Thursday, Naomi asked Grace to help find her health insurance card. "It should be in the blue folder," Naomi said. "Or maybe the drawer by the bed. I don't know anymore." Grace smiled. "That's why I'm here, Grandma." She searched the bedroom gently, careful not to make Naomi feel helpless. In the second drawer, beneath a stack of birthday cards, she found the bank statement. Folded once, then again, as if someone had wanted it hidden. Grace opened it. Her smile disappeared. She recognized Naomi's normal expenses: pharmacy, grocery store, church giving, electric bill. But then came the withdrawals: cash, transfers, payments, many of them on days Peter had visited. Grace walked into the living room holding the paper. "Grandma," she said carefully, "do you know what these are?" Naomi looked up. The moment her eyes saw the statement, her face changed. Not confusion, fear. Grace noticed. "Grandma?" Naomi reached for the paper. "Oh, that's nothing." It doesn't look like nothing. Peter handles those things. Did you authorize these withdrawals?" Naomi looked toward the window. "Your uncle has been under a lot of pressure." Grace became very still. That answer told her more than a denial would have. Naomi was not simply confused. She was protecting him. Grace did not confront Peter immediately. She spent the next 2 days gathering information, not to attack him, to understand. She called the bank with Naomi's permission. She reviewed old statements. She found patterns: withdrawals after Peter's visits, transfers to accounts Naomi did not recognize, payments connected to Peter's business expenses. When Grace showed Naomi the total, the older woman closed her eyes. "Please don't hate him." Grace's voice softened. "Grandma, how long have you known?" Naomi's lips trembled. "I didn't know everything." "But you suspected." Naomi nodded. A tear slid down her cheek. "He is my son. That doesn't make this right." "I know. Then why didn't you say something?" Naomi's hands folded tightly in her lap. "Because if I confront him, I may lose him." Grace's heart broke. There it was, the fear beneath the silence. Naomi was not weak. She was not foolish. She was a mother terrified the truth would cost her a son. "I thought," Naomi whispered, "maybe he would put it back. Maybe he was just desperate. Maybe if I gave him time." Grace knelt in front of her. "Grandma, love does not mean letting someone sin against you in secret." Naomi looked away. "I didn't want to shame him. But the silence is not healing him. It is protecting the thing that is destroying him." Naomi began to cry. That sentence entered the room like light. Painful, necessary, unavoidable. For the first time, Grace realized the wound was bigger than a bank account. This was family betrayal, but it was also fear. A mother's fear, a son's shame, and a sin that had been allowed to grow because everyone involved had mistaken darkness for mercy. Peter came to Naomi's house on Saturday morning. He brought groceries, as usual: bread, milk, eggs, a bag of oranges. He kissed Naomi on the forehead and said, "Morning, Mom." Grace was waiting at the kitchen table. The bank statements were laid out in front of her. Peter stopped walking. His face lost color. Naomi sat in her chair, hands trembling. Grace did not raise her voice. "Uncle Peter, we need to talk." He put the grocery bags down slowly. "What is this?" "You know what it is." Peter looked at Naomi. "Mom?" Naomi could not meet his eyes. Grace said, "There are thousands of dollars missing." Peter's jaw tightened. "Missing?" Withdrawn, transferred, used. I was going to put it back. Grace held his gaze. When? Peter exhaled sharply. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Then explain it. He began pacing. The business has been failing. I had payments. People depending on me. Mom doesn't even use most of that money. Naomi flinched. Grace's voice remained calm. That money is hers. I take care of her. Yes, you do. I drive her everywhere. Yes? I pay her bills. And that gave you access, not permission. Peter's eyes filled with anger. But beneath it was panic. I am not a thief. Grace stood slowly. Uncle Peter, helping her does not give you permission to take from her. Silence. The words struck the room like thunder. Peter looked at Naomi. For 1 second, he looked like a child caught in a lie. Then shame covered him. I was going to fix it, he whispered. Grace answered, the truth is where fixing begins. That afternoon, after Peter left in anger and Naomi retreated into silence, Grace began helping her grandmother gather important papers, insurance forms, bank documents, medical cards, old letters. Inside Samuel Walker's Bible, tucked behind the book of Luke, Grace found an envelope. Naomi recognized Samuel's handwriting immediately. My Samuel, she whispered. The envelope was addressed to Naomi. Grace handed it to her. Naomi opened it carefully. The letter had been written near the end of Samuel's life. His handwriting was weaker than usual, but still steady enough to feel like him. My Naomi, if you are reading this, I am with the Lord, and you are probably trying to be strong for everyone else. You have always had a heart that covers people. You cover embarrassment with kindness. You cover need with generosity. You cover pain with prayer, but my love. Remember this, covering is not always the same as healing. Naomi's hand went to her mouth. Grace sat beside her. Naomi continued reading. Our children are gifts, but they are not innocent, simply because they are ours. If one day any of them confuse your kindness with permission, do not call it love to cover what God is trying to correct. Naomi began to sob. The words were gentle, but they were true. Samuel had known her. He knew she would rather suffer quietly than expose someone she loved. He knew she might confuse mercy with silence. He knew that Naomi's tenderness, if not guarded by truth, could become a hiding place for sin. The final line of the letter read, Grace does not hide darkness, Naomi. Grace brings it into the light so healing can begin. Naomi closed her eyes. For the first time, she understood. She had not been protecting Peter. She had been protecting the lie that held him captive. Naomi's story brings us to a truth many families avoid. Forgiveness is holy, but forgiveness is not denial. Mercy is Christ-like, but mercy is not the same as enabling destruction. When Zacchaeus encountered Jesus in Luke 19, his repentance did not remain emotional. He did not merely cry. He did not merely say, I am sorry. He said that if he had defrauded anyone, he would restore it. That is Christian restitution. Not buying forgiveness, not earning grace, but showing that repentance is real enough to repair what it damaged. Peter needed forgiveness, but he also needed truth. And Naomi needed to learn that forgiving her son did not mean giving him continued access to harm her. Proverbs 22:1 says that a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Peter had been trying to save his business, his image, his reputation. But in protecting his pride, he was destroying his name. Not because he had failed financially. Failure is painful, but it is not sin. The sin was the secrecy, the taking, the justification. And Ephesians 4:28 says that the one who stole should steal no longer, but work, doing honest labor, so that he may have something to share. The gospel does not simply say, stop doing wrong. It calls a person into a new way of living. Peter could not undo the past in one afternoon, but he could stop hiding. He could confess. He could remove his access. He could seek counsel. He could make a plan to repay. He could step into the light. Grace was not trying to destroy her uncle. She was trying to stop the darkness before it destroyed everyone. And Naomi was not asked to stop loving Peter. She was asked to love him truthfully. The family met at Naomi's kitchen table 2 days later. Peter came reluctantly. His face looked older. His wife came with him, eyes red from crying. Grace sat beside Naomi. Pastor Daniel from their church sat quietly at the end of the table. No one spoke for several moments. Then Peter placed a folder on the table. "I wrote it down," he said. His voice shook. "Every withdrawal I could find, every transfer, every payment." Naomi closed her eyes. Peter began to cry. "I told myself it was borrowing. I told myself I deserved help because I helped you. I told myself I would put it back." He looked at his mother. "But I took from you." The words were plain. No decoration, no excuse. And because they were plain, they began to break the power of the lie. "I'm sorry, Mom." Naomi wept silently. Peter turned to Grace. "You were right. Taking care of her did not give me permission to take from her." Grace's eyes filled, but her voice stayed firm. "What happens now matters." Peter nodded. "I called the bank. I'm removing myself from her accounts. I'm meeting a financial counselor through the church. I'm selling the trailer from the business. The money will go toward repayment. I know it won't fix everything, but I want to start." Pastor Daniel spoke gently. "That is repentance, taking responsibility." Naomi reached for Peter's hand. "I forgive you," she whispered. Peter broke. But Naomi continued, "I forgive you, but you cannot manage my money anymore." He nodded through tears. "I know, and I should not have hidden it." Peter looked up. Naomi's voice trembled. "I called silence love, but I was afraid. Afraid of losing you. Afraid you would stop coming. Afraid truth would break the family." Grace took her grandmother's hand. Naomi looked at both of them, but the truth did not break us. The hiding did. The room fell quiet. Then Peter bowed his head. "Lord, I confess what I did. Teach me to restore what I took. Teach me to become honest again." No one pretended everything was fixed, but something had changed. The secret had lost its throne. The money did not come back overnight. Peter still faced debt. His business still struggled. His wife had questions he could not answer easily. Naomi still felt the ache of betrayal when she looked at her bank folder. Grace continued helping her grandmother set up safeguards. A new account structure, limited access, alerts, a trusted financial contact. Peter visited, but differently. At first, the visits were awkward. He no longer came as the son who controlled everything. He came as a man learning humility. He fixed Naomi's porch step without touching her bank papers. He drove her to church without asking for her card. He brought groceries and left the receipt on the counter. Not because Naomi demanded humiliation, because trust rebuilds through light. Month by month, Peter made payments. Small ones at first, then larger when he sold equipment. Each payment felt like a confession repeated in action. Naomi kept Samuel's letter inside the Bible. Sometimes she reread it when her heart softened too much toward old habits. Not love to cover what God is trying to correct. Grace learned something too. Honor is not always quiet. Sometimes honoring an aging parent means asking hard questions. Sometimes it means opening the drawer, reading the statement, and refusing to let politeness protect harm. And Peter learned that grace was not permission to avoid consequences. Grace was the hand of God pulling him out of the darkness he had mistaken for survival. Maybe you know Naomi's story. Maybe you have called silence love because truth felt too painful. Maybe someone in your family is taking advantage of kindness, trust, age, or dependence. Maybe you are afraid that confronting the truth will destroy the relationship, but hidden sin is already destroying it. Truth may hurt, but truth also opens the door to healing. Or maybe you know Peter's story. Maybe shame has pushed you into choices you keep justifying. Maybe you have told yourself it is temporary, that you will fix it later, that no one will know. But later is not repentance. Light is. Confession is. Restitution is. The grace of God is deep enough to forgive, but it is also strong enough to correct. Naomi's family did not heal because they avoided the truth. They began to heal because truth finally sat at the table. And for the first time in a long time, Nobody asked it to leave. If this story spoke to your heart, write the word truth in the comments. Let it be a simple prayer. Lord, give me courage to bring hidden things into the light, and humility to repair what sin has damaged. If this video helped you reflect, leave a like and subscribe for more Christian stories about faith, family, repentance, forgiveness, and biblical truth. And remember, grace forgives confessed sin, but it does not bless hidden lies. True repentance does not only cry, it begins to restore.